Okay, we're back. This is the second part in the last part. I got some messages on Facebook. I'm not going to directly respond to them, but there are some things that I'm going to go over that's going to give those people clarity on what I was saying. But one of the people were asserting that I'm very blameful when it comes to what transpired. However, if a lot of people look at my videos and understand them, I talk a lot about the reality of cause and effect, social engineering, karma. You know, what you do has an effect, and the effect, it's cause and effect, and from that effect, there's another cause and effect. The effect produces another cause. It's just that simple. So no one is sitting feeling sorry for themselves or anything, But that's a very common way of perceiving it, and even that is a source of social engineering. The way that we are programmed through our journey to perceive certain things, and this is one of the reasons I always tell people: think for yourself, because in this society, if you're not careful, you will come to conclusions that you actually think are your own individual conclusions. But for some reason, you sound like the next person in your conclusion. And a lot of people are deceived to think, well, I see things the same way he sees it, or I understand it in the same way she understands it. And sometimes that is the case, but you just have to be very careful coming to your own conclusions. See, because everything is social engineered, even perceptions and viewpoints are even socially engineered, so you just got to be careful with that. You just have to be careful with that. So my videos primarily deals with cause and effect. The way we treat one another causes an effect on the next person, and it goes on and on and on. Now, another thing that was somewhat misunderstood is when I was dealing with the issue of when my father brought up the bastard, so-called bastard thing. And when it comes to fornication and having children out of wedlock. And when I went back and I listened to it, I did make a couple of slight mistakes, and all you have to do is just say the wrong word and you will throw things off. But I'll go ahead and explain it again, because it's really not as hard as I made it yesterday. It's really not that difficult. So, of course, in every religious doctrine, this whole concept of sex before marriage, titled fornication, is by religious condemned by the Creator. And so basically they're saying that sex before marriage is a sin. It's a sin. However, it's supposedly be deemed as a sin by the divine Creator. But at the same time, children are still brought into the world, so-called out of wedlock. Now, when it comes to being brought into the world, as I was saying yesterday, that is based upon divine conception. which is purpose and time, time and purpose. So as far as the religious community is concerned, even though the Creator supposedly condemns sex before marriage and it is a sin, when the Creator still speaks life into a woman's womb during the act of fornication, according to religious doctrine, they are saying that the divine Creator who condemns the act of fornication is participating in this act of fornication, which it condemns, to bring a child into the world divinely in the midst of this. So if fornication is in fact considered a sin and something that the Creator condemns, then why do the Creator participates along with this act to divinely bring a child into the world that it's going to deem illegit? Why is the Creator, who is supposed to be legit, bringing a life into the world that is going to be considered illegit? That's my point. That was my point. They're claiming that the Creator is participating with sin in order to bring a life into the world to serve a divine purpose. Another thing I wanted to add with that, what they do ignore, especially the Catholic community, is when it says in the Bible, is talking about Jesus. It says, he was the seed of David according to the flesh, but he declared himself the Son of God according to the Spirit of holiness. So there's your virgin birth that's gone. Okay? Because it says he was the seed of David according to the flesh. So the name David asserts in the Bible that Joseph, who was his father in the flesh, was Jewish. So it said he was the seed, basically what they're saying, he was the seed of Joseph according to the flesh. However, he declared himself the Son of God according to the Spirit of holiness. Now, he declared himself a spiritual man according to the Spirit of holiness. But he was Joseph's son according to the flesh. There is your virgin birth thrown right out the window. And why don't y'all just accept that? Okay, now I'm going to say something that could be very controversial, but I don't care. Okay? And there's a lot of people out there that have found this same understanding. So we're dealing with clarity now. We're not dealing with social engineering. We're dealing with pure clarity that a whole lot of people perceive when they read religious doctrine. Intelligent people, anyway. So when it comes to Mary going to sleep and she miraculously wakes up, she's pregnant now. And Mary said, how can I be with child when no man has touched me? Lie. Straight up lie. Because they said he was the seed of David, according to the flesh. Now, according to the teachings of Elijah Muhammad, and according to common sense and other areas of religion that I studied when I was over in India, it was said that Joseph had got up in the middle of the night and he went into Mary's hut. This was before they was married, and they had sex. This was going on for a while. And then all of a sudden, Mary is pregnant. And then this thing came up all of a sudden that she woke up one day and she was impregnated by the Holy Spirit. And if you do more research, you really don't have to research too hard. Any woman that was caught pregnant with child without a husband was stoned to death. And this is the reason why they had to get up and run into Egypt, because the Creator was supposedly had came to Joseph and told Joseph, you need to get your girl and get up out of here, because Herod is going to kill him. So you're going to have to get up and you're going to have to go to Egypt, hide in Egypt. So was that the Creator? Or was that Joseph not able to sleep that night? And this was after he found out that Mary was pregnant by him, and by him knowing that him and Mary were not married at the time. Fornication. So he said, well, she's starting to show, and by us not being married, I better get her out. So was that Joseph remembering the laws of Moses? Or was that indeed the Spirit telling him to get married up out of here? You know, this is why I backed away from religion. Because your own book says he was the seed of David, Jewish, Joseph, according to the flesh. But he declared himself the Son of God, according to the Spirit of holiness. And didn't he suggest that for every human being during that discussion with Nicodemus, when he said, except a man be born again of the Spirit, he cannot see the kingdom of God. There it is right there. There it is right there. Now, if I'm wrong, correct. Correct. So, with that being said, even in the Bible, Mary is asleep. God was supposed to have impregnated her in her sleep, and therefore without her consent. So not only are we're dealing with fornication, we're dealing with rape as well, because this was being done without her consent. So we're dealing with fornication, we're dealing with rape. It implies rape, even though it doesn't say it, it implies it. And it's just like a lot of people are just uncomfortable to talk about it because they're worried about outside forces and what people are going to say about you. And you're so worried about getting your feelings hurt. David don't have no feelings to hurt. You can attack me all day long. You ain't gonna move me. I'm just gonna put it out there, and it is what it is. And if I'm wrong, then research it. Research it. So that's pretty much it. And like I said before, if the status of the marriage gives substance to the child, and if your parents are married, so-called legitimacy, then it means that the children are not going to be considered illegitimate, which implies that the status of the children is based upon the status of the marriage. So if the status of the marriage is demoted into a divorce, and by the status of the children being based upon the status of the marriage, and if that marriage goes into divorce, then the status of the children is demoted to being bastards. I mean, this is what the religious teachings imply. This is what the religious teachings imply. It's common sense. You know, the only thing you have to do is not be afraid to use your gifted intelligence and what you observe. Think about what you are observing. Anybody that will give you a book to read and tell you don't question it, just believe everything, that's a big mistake. You have to think about what you're being given to observe. That's it. And so that's what I pretty much meant. If the status of the marriage is demoted, and if the children's status is based upon the status of the marriage, then the children is demoted as well. But some will say the children are not considered illegitimate because when the children were brought into the world, the parents were married. It still says that the children get their legitimacy from the fact that the parents were married. Now, if the marriage goes into divorce, then it means the marriage is no longer legit, which implies the children fall into the category of illegitimacy. There's no way around it. There's no way around that. So, you can look it up. You can think about it all you want. But this is what the religious world is telling you. When I and a lot of people say there is no child upon this earth that is illegitimate. And I find that not as a surprise coming from a community that is always into separating people in different categories. I mean, there's plenty times when I was even going to elementary school, I heard children being teased by other children because their parents were not married. Plenty times I used to hear certain people, "Oh, you a bastard because your parents are not married." So that has a discriminatory flavor to it, a segregated type twist to it. And it doesn't surprise me, considering this book is ushered to the entire world by a race of people who have always advocated separation. The white community, you folks, the white community. So anything that's going to come out of a community that has this type of mentality, you will be able to expect whatever you take in from this particular community. That's the way that you're going to perceive things, and that's the way you're going to understand things, and that is going to influence you to act upon the way that your mind has been programmed. And so we're still talking about social engineering. We're still talking about social engineering. So the virgin birth, your own Bible speaks against that. If you would just take the time to do your research and not be afraid to use your gifted intelligence. Just use it. You can call me the devil all you want to, because I'm not going to disagree with you yet. I'm God and the devil, just like you. I'm not going to sit here and deny it. All right? I'm an evil person and I'm a good person. I'm both. I'm going to claim both of them. I'm not going to claim one. Well, I'm a good person. Okay, now that's evil. Well, I'm an evil person and that's all I am. Okay, that's evil too. You're both. Embrace who and what you are. You're both. Okay, we are dual created human beings because we were created by a dual creator. That's just the reality of it. So the challenge is going to always be ourselves. And the way that we start abusing one another is when we lose the battle within ourselves. And so when we lose the battle within ourselves, then we inflict pain on others. So this brings me to the history, well, the relationship, and my intention to express the fact that we have to be very careful how we allow things to affect us so that we won't keep passing on the poison that we fell victim to by others who ended up losing the battle of themselves. And as far as back as it goes, you know, how like I was saying before, how the wounds are consistently being inflicted and unattended. So we're going to go into that. And we're going to go into that not only in reference to my parents, but just in general, just in general.